and then we go back out around the lake. This is the fastest sweeping turn 8 onto Tong Hui Main Road, and then the big stop chicane at turn 9, 10, 11. As I said, that is a no overtaking area. It's going to be interesting on turn 1 when everyone's bunched up. There's a white line that dictates where you are not allowed to overtake from. So you might see cars side by side running towards this corner, and then they will back out of the overtaking. Whoever's ahead of the white line has precedence. Turn 12, final turn on the lap. Difficult with a big bump as they go onto the bridge over the canal. Coming towards the final couple of moments before we get race 1 underway. Historically, on the streets of Beijing once more, GT3 cars getting ready to race. It's nice and clean, it's nice and slow. There's good space between our cars, and the green flag flies, and off we go down towards a wide turn 1. Ferrari leads, and Deng Yi leads into turn 1. The Lamborghini sneaks up the inside for second position. Great start from them, and Anthony Liu in that bright yellow and red Porsche alongside the Ferrari and looking to move up to third position. A great start then from Anthony Liu. The 3-2-1 Porsche dropping back of Nazim Asman in his first start in GT World Challenge Asia. The first big stop then coming into turn 3. Got to be really, really careful here. 3 wide in the middle of the pack, but everyone making their way through and being careful and being kind to each other. Very important. Oh, that was a very good couple of corners from the 55 of Ya Chi, who's back up to second position ahead of the Lamborghini that must have run wide, and Anthony Liu sneaks up the inside up to third. So a bad couple of corners then for the Lamborghini of Huang. Now he's on the big defense. Frankie Chen trying to get past him. This is where we're a bit narrower around this part of the lap, about 15 meters the circuit, and then it will widen out once more back onto the main road of Tonghui. The first 3 are away, but there's still a lot of squabbling going on as Bob Wan moves himself up to 7th position, followed by Lu Wei. He said he was going to do that, didn't he? They're teammates at Origin. And now you come into this no overtaking zone, and the Lamborghini running a bit deep, so does Frankie Cheng in the Audi. All of them picking up a lot of leaves as well. The circuit lined with trees that are about to start losing their leaves to the winter, and a lot of those leaves getting into the radiators, and that's going to be a concern, especially as the teams will have already made sure that there's only a little bit of airflow going through the cars. It's a challenge for these drivers. The challenge is coming from the likes of the bumps here into turn 1, 2 big bumps as you cross over the canal underneath you. There's a little bit of a bump starting to develop into turn number 3 under the braking zone there as you turn and brake at the same time. Oh, we've got a car off, and that's Tao Chi in the number 31. That's one of our championship challengers. Lightly touched the barrier, one would suggest, at turn number 1. Now he just needs to hook the reverse and get out of there, but that really is disappointing for himself and Jaden Ajada. That car is on pole for this afternoon's race, but it looks as though certainly he's going to tumble down to the back of the field. Can he get that moving? It is running, isn't it? Because there's a bit of smoke coming off the back of it. Can he get it running, or will we need to scramble the safety car to help that car out of the barrier? Andy Dung will not want the safety car because he's built a nice advantage. But we are going to have to go safety car in a position. Rio 7th, Lu Wei 8th, Hiddebon in 9th, and Nazim Asman in 10th position. Green flag and racing once more here in Beijing. Just a couple of laps before we open the pit window, and we'll get our AM drivers out and put our pros in. And who's looking? Oh! Big crash between our leading 2 into turn 1. Anthony Liu has been caught out by Andy Dung there into turn 1. And that is going to bring the safety car back out again, but not at the moment. They're still racing at the moment. And that's an absolute disaster. That's a disaster for Andy Dung, yes, because it means that the championship in silver is over for them. but it's also a disaster for Anthony Liu because his championship challenge is now out of the window as well. Liu had so much more confidence going into turn one. Perhaps too much, perhaps he was locked up. But Andy Dung was just being careful. And big incident, big closing speed between the two of them. We'll have to have another look at that to see exactly what happened there, because, yeah, it wasn't a small tap, but the damage that we've seen on the Ferrari and on the Porsche, it was not a small tap at all. Our top two eliminated here in race one in Beijing. Almost certainly hands the silver title to car 45, who's now at the third position, and third position would keep their championship alive overall. Door is open on Anthony Liu's car, who's made it all the way into the barrier. Now let's have a look again. Anthony Liu is way back here. He's come over the bump. Yeah, okay, he's locked up. So over that first bump, he's locked the axle. And unfortunately, Andy Dung was in the way. We saw a very similar incident in GT Cup qualifying, the GT4 race, but just look at that. As soon as he's locked up, there's absolutely no retardation whatsoever. And off goes the 96 with big damage. And he's got himself nearly a second advantage as we go back to green flag racing here in Beijing with 15 minutes remaining. Already on the charge, Ben Green tucked up underneath the rear wing of the BMW, coming in towards turn one. The first three are clear and away. Akish Nandi in fourth position. And actually, Joel Eriksson looks fast here in his Audi. Starting to get closer and closer to Ye Yifei in his Ferrari for second position. Could it be an Audi 1-2? That would be remarkable. Not quite close enough to make a move. Ben Green did get Max Hussein, so he's already moved up one position, up to 8th position in his Corvette. Watch the charge. It's important for his Prince's Championship. Also, Bastien Bus needs massive movement down in 13th. He's got to score decent points to keep Lu Wei's championship alive. So we've got, yes, a battle at the front, but for the championship, the 55 and the 46 are nowhere. Neither is the 29, really. Then Liu Yi in 5th position. Just looking there, doesn't have much of a challenge behind him. Ben Green looks mighty though, doesn't he? Already onto the tail of the Nissan, already challenging Yu Kanemaru. He's coming towards that chicane though, so he's not allowed to overtake. So you saw him actually on the brakes halfway down the straight because he knew he couldn't get past this big brute. Oh, what's that? Is that car off on the right-hand side there? Yes, it is, and it's the no, it's not the 45. I thought we saw a car on the right-hand side, and the tracking suggesting it was a 45, but the 45 is coming into the pits. 46, Joel Eriksson, and 1 second for the 55 of Ye Yifei. So there's your new leader, the Nissan 500. Second, Nico Menzel. Third, Daniel Liu. And Max Hussein in the BMW is in 4th position. He's behind his silver class rival, so Silver Am will not be sorted yet. Oh, and that's a stall for Joel Eriksson in the 46. So that's going to be a longer stop go than he needs. And he comes out behind Ben Green. But Ye Yifei will be ahead of them both because he had a shorter penalty. But Nico Menzel has absolutely loved this Beijing circuit since the start of the weekend, and is putting Yu Kanemaru under pressure. Nissan haven't had a win since Suzuka 2024. Little bit of a gap then to Daniel Liu. Great running position for him. And then look at Bastien Bus there on the tail of the BMW 89. Lu Wei, of course, his teammate, standing in the pits, and suddenly from nowhere, they are in a really strong championship position. In for 5th position, they get themselves 10 points. Sims in 7th, flashing his lights. They're both behind the BMW of Max Hussein. But Pilet was very, very strong in practice in the Porsche. That was kind of in the early stages of practice where the Porsches were, in general, stronger than the rest of the field. Now we've got cars up to temperature. And Sims on the flashers. Bastien Bus trying the same thing on Daniel Lu. Bus up to 4th position, so Bus has passed Hussein. And that means that the gap between the two Origin Porsches at the head of the field closing up even more. Side by side further back, who was that racing each other? I think that was Alexander Sims trying to get past Patrick Pilet. Yes, he is. And Sims will be on the inside into the braking zone at turn number 3. Giving lots of respect and room to Patrick Pilet. There's a lot of bumps offline there. The Corvette squirms around under braking, but Sims gets it done and moves up to 6th. A real effort from Hirabon and Yu Karamaru, and it just fills you with that little bit of underdog pride that maybe there's another win in that car. And we're only now 2 minutes away, but there's huge hassle from Nico Menzel, from Daniel Lu, from Bastien Bus. GTO running Menzel's car, Absolute running Daniel Lu's car. By far their best result it will be. They were stronger last time out in Okayama than they've been before, and another step up thanks to bringing in a silver driver alongside them. It'll be a silver win, first time of asking for Daniel Lu. But Bastien Bus is right there as well. There is our championship leader, 87. Still leading the championship, even though they won't score any points here. But it will be by a tiny margin going into the final weekend race of the weekend. How does this happen? Every year in GT World Challenge Asia, you think you're coming to a weekend where there's an overwhelming favourite. It was Lu Wei last year who had a big advantage going into race 1. And then everything gets turned on his head, and there's been a change. Daniel Lu is dropping like a stone. The 3-2-1, I think, is off the circuit. Yes, he is. There he is. Down at turn number 3. And that's a disaster for Daniel Lu. I thought he was going to take a podium here. 25 seconds remaining, so one more lap to go. And that's promoted Max Hussein back onto the podium. Sims has got ahead of Bastien Bus. So Bus, it must have been a challenge from Bus, because Bus has dropped down to 5th position. Pilet's dropped down to 6th position. And it's been to the advantage of Sims, who's got up ahead, and Hussein. Frankie Cheng will still win the silver title because the 96 is in the wall. Although actually, I don't think that's now potentially correct, because with that change with Daniel Lu in the wall, the 77 will be the winner. Damage to the 3-2-1. Oh, there's bits of something hot coming off the car. Nico Menzel looks down the inside of the Nissan. No space there. This is the final lap. This is the final opportunity. Don't have to worry about what's going on behind, because there's a gap now. So Menzel doesn't have to worry about a false move. He just can make a move. But is there any opportunities for a move? The fingers and the toes are crossed down at Go Jigen. Certainly turn 8 is not an opportunity to overtake. It's chicane you cannot overtake, but maybe into the final turn. Let's see. It's been over a year since the Nissan took victory in GT World Challenge Asia. They keep the championship challenge alive in silver, Am, and there is no challenge from Nico Menzel through the final turn. So here comes Yu Kanemaru, who is going to win again in the Nissan GTR. It's Team Gojigen who take the full points in a manic and chaotic race one here in Beijing. Nico Menzel for GTO in second position. And I think the BMW of Max Hussein will be in third. There is Hirobon. And the happiness floods out of the team. But ultimately they still had to hold on. Winning in Am, Liam Talbot with a great last stint to get Setuan Santosho onto the top step of the podium in Am. Pro-Am for GTO. But the win for Hirobon and Yu Kanemaru by 0.2 of a second over Nico Menzel in the end. Team KRC will be on the podium in third position overall, as well as second in silver. And then what about Alexander Sims up to fourth? That car started on row 9 of the grid. Patrick Pile in fifth position. Wei Lu sixth, but question mark over whether there'll be a penalty for the number 4 and the rest of the top 10. Gary 75 will be Am champions despite the fact they finished only third position today. And all of our championship rivals really not scoring points. Ben Green in 12th, Leo Yi 14th. The 45 down in 16th position. And then of course that big shunt for Deng Yi and Anthony Liu retiring out of the race. Also retirements for Absolute Corsa and Origin's 86 car. The result back in Japan. Top 3 I don't think is under investigation, but we do have that investigation for car number 4, and that has a big effect on Wei Lu's championship because for the moment he takes a nice chunk out of the rest of them.